As the old saying goes, there are two certainties in life. Number one, death. And number two, taxes. We can't help you with death, but we've got you covered with taxes. This is Ask the Tax Attorney. As you know, the federal government doesn't play when it comes to owning taxes, but too many people freak out about it. So if you're a business owner and you're in trouble, or you're afraid you might be in trouble with the IRS, this is the show for you. Your host is a tax attorney with over 20 years of experience, and she's helped clients erase over $4 million in tax debt. So let's get to it. This is the Ask the Tax Attorney podcast. And now your host, Claudia Moncarz.
Welcome, everybody. And I want to say a special welcome to Sherley Haratz. She's an attorney in South Florida. She does immigration work. Sherley, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So one of the things I always tell people is that, yes, we are attorneys, but at the same time, we're business owners. And, that's why I think we understand where you're coming from. That's what I tell my clients. And can you please give us your business journey and how you went from being an attorney, working for somebody, to being a law firm owner?
Well, it's a long story. You have time?
We have time.
So I am originally from Panama, and I went to law school in Panama. And then I lived in Hong Kong for a while, came back, finished law school. Then I did a master's in London. And actually, I did a master's in maritime law, which has nothing to do with what I do today. So I represented ship owners, and we registered mortgages. Then I did corporate law, moved to New York for a few years. And when I moved to Miami in 2001, I wasn't sure I wanted to continue in maritime law. And I found this nonprofit, which used to be called FIAC, Florida Immigrant Advocacy Center. And they had a group inside, in one of the departments was called Lucha, which they helped immigrants of low income, specifically victims of domestic violence, victims of human trafficking, and victims of violent crimes. And I thought it was interesting, so I volunteered with them. And then they hired me, and I was a paralegal for 2 or 3 years. And then I decided I need to go back to law school to get my Florida bar and be able to be an attorney in the US. So I went to law school a third time, finished law school. And when I took the bar, I had my last boss in Lucha was my current partner right now in my life.
Okay.
I approached her and I said, Viviana, maybe we should, open a firm together. We worked for people all our lives. I was already 2011. I don't want to tell you my age, but I was. And I said, I don't want to work for anybody else. So we did open our law firm, Haratz and Stube, and we started small. And now we are 6 people in the firm. We're 3 attorneys and 2 assistants and 1 receptionist and client coordinator. And
in 2 locations.
And 2 locations. We have an office in Wynwood where my partner sits, and we have an office in Aventura where I sit. And this is my journey in a nutshell.
Yeah, and obviously throughout your career, you have a lot of interesting stories, but especially now in your law firm, I'm sure. Like when we talked about, besides the fact that we're from Panama, so yay, we talked about some of the interesting things that I didn't know about. Some of the quirks or unique things that you can do planning with immigration law. So can you tell us a story or 2 about your practice?
So I have a lot of stories and a lot of crying from happiness of getting approvals, because our job, that's why I liked it when I volunteer. And then for me, it's not only immigration law, it's like human rights. Being an immigrant myself, my parents were immigrants from Europe to Israel, then from Israel to Panama. So I understand the immigrant story. And for Viviana and me, it's very, very important to treat clients with dignity. Okay. So I have a lot of stories, but I'm going to tell you a nice story, not a sad story.
No, a nice story, yes.
They always have good outcomes, but sad meaning a lot of abuse. We did a lot of that. We do a lot of business visas now, a lot of talent visas. We do a lot of green cards for business owners, for entrepreneurs. So one story is very interesting. It's a client that came to me referred by a friend. And that friend was in the EB-5 world. I'm sure your listeners know. about EB5? It's when you invest now
Can you tell us a little bit?
So EB5 is when you invest. It used to be $500,000. You invest in a project that has been approved by the federal government, and you're able to get your green card through that investment. So the owners of the project are building or a hospital or a hotel or a race course, whatever they decided to build. They use the money from immigrants like our clients, and with that money they do the project. And the client gets the green card. So it used to be $500,000. Now it's $1,050,000. It could be 800, depending if you invest in an area of low employment. But this client comes to me and he says, Shirley, I want to do an EB5. I want to invest $500,000. It's a few years back. I want to invest $500,000. I want to get my green card. And I say, okay, great. Can we talk a little bit about it? Can I know what you do, your resume? What do you do for a living? And he's like, no. I said, because, maybe I can get you another visa and you don't have to invest the $500,000. Which for me is great because, of course, when you do an EB5, you charge good fees. But I wanted to get the best way for my client, for him. So he says, no, I do this and this. I work in a beer company. I'm not that famous. And I said, well, tell me a little bit about it. And when he started talking about his resume, I said, I can possibly get you a talent visa on O1 or maybe a green card as an EB1A or EB1B as someone extraordinary with extraordinary abilities in your specific field. And he's like, no, I don't think I have that. And we started going through, he sent me everything, and I was able to get him a green card through his extraordinary abilities. He did have an amazing resume, which he didn't realize because when you're a business owner, you don't think you're outstanding in your field. You think an actor or a singer, a famous person, someone that writes a book.
Or a chef. That's what I
chef, or someone that you see in the news, typical Miss Universe. But as a business owner, you can get a talent visa and you can get an EB1, a green card. So I got him the green card. He was super happy. And he has referred me so many people. And I already have did his and his family's citizenship. So it's been a journey of 7 years. And he already got his citizenship this year. So that's a very cute and funny story. Sometimes you don't know your options. Should talk to a professional to see if you really qualify or you don't qualify for certain visas that you may think you qualify. Most probably you qualify for something. You just have to talk to someone to see all the avenues through it. So my other friend was upset probably because he didn't get the EB5 client, but I had to do the best for my client. So.
But yeah, I heard that of those extraordinary abilities for, I think one time I say chef because I heard of a pizza maker. He got it from a friend that, he was able to get it for the extraordinary, but
that's funny. I have
pizza maker in Italy, so that's why.
He has one of the locations down here in my office. There is an O1 pizza here. Mr. O1. That story is very funny. He wasn't my client, but he got approved with a talent visa. You're right. He was a famous pizza maker, Venezuelan Italian. And the story is that he got an O1 approved, and he put the name of the pizza place as O1 Visa or something. And they made it change the name because you cannot have the name of a pizza with a visa. So now it's called Mr. O1.
Okay.
It's a funny story. He has like 6 locations. I don't know, locations all over now. Very famous. But we have that there sometimes.
Yeah, but like you said, you never know. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a singer or an actor. It could be.
We've done anything you can imagine. I've done talent visas for all kinds of people, like all kinds of. I have a didgeridoo musician. I don't know if you know what the didgeridoo is. It's an instrument. No. She's famous in that. We got her a visa approved for that. We have people that are special in consumer goods, fast consumer goods specialists. We have directors of movies, all kinds of famous positions, but we've done everything. So it's really important. And also this administration has made an emphasis in entrepreneurs. So,
I didn't know that.
Yes, there is also an entrepreneur parole, which they issued like 2 years ago. It hasn't been really implemented, but recently there were some clarifications about it. So it may become more popular, with the startups. If you get like seed money to invest in a company here and you have you're coming to be an entrepreneur, you may qualify for the parole. So there is different avenues. There is also the H-1B, which it's the registration period was supposed to end today at 12, but there was an error in the system, as sometimes there is. So they extended the registration until Monday at 5 p.m. So if someone hears this before then, they have a chance. There is also, there's religious visas. There is visas for people that are from Chile, the H-1B1. There is people from Canada and Mexico, they can get the TN. So there's different visas. There is, a lot of people criticize the system in the US, and we attorneys are the first ones that are very critical of the institution of the government that deals with it. But I was watching a documentary the other day of Australia, how they treat their immigrants, and they put them in camps until they're able to legalize them.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Awful. I don't remember the name of the movie. I can look it up and send you the information. But they have a lot of immigrants, of course, and how did you get them so far? But they put them in these temporary camps, but they become like years until they're able to legalize them. So the US is not that bad, I think. I have changed my opinion about it.
And do you guys do mostly business visa, or you still are doing some of those domestic violence trafficking?
We do, I would say 50% business, 30% VAWA, domestic violence, and victims of violent crimes, and no, maybe not. Maybe 25% VAWA, 25% family-based, and 50% business visas. We do not do asylums, but everything else we do. I mean, and investors visas, E2, TN, H1B1, H1, L1s when you want to transfer a big company, you want to transfer an employee here, L1.
Yes, it's an alphabet soup.
Yes, it is. And we do labor certifications. Like you can go straight for your green card, but you have to wait like 2 years if you have a petitioner. Yeah, it's we do all the business visas there are available.
Okay. And one thing that we always I like to end the podcast with, or the interview, is if you can give us a legal tip for our listeners, our business owners, listeners, to let them know, because I think a lot of times it's something practical that can keep you out of trouble. And if you can give us a tip, that would be great.
So I'm going to give you a very good tip to the listeners, where a lot of people get in trouble. And I'm always very careful when I tell them this. So let's see. You're coming into the US with a tourist visa. And the tourist visa has, usually they give it to you for B1, B2. B1 being business, B2 being tourism, okay? Now, the word business doesn't mean you can come and work here. It means you can come for meetings. For example, if you sell computers in Costa Rica and you want to come here to go and buy computers or have meetings, or you come for a conference, or you come to visit potential distributors or clients, that means B1 when you're coming for that. Not that you come here and you start working for someone or for yourself and getting a salary. Okay. So a lot of business men and women come and they probably have incorporated a company here because it's so easy, as you know, to incorporate a company here. Like in one day, you have a company, and then
online.
So they think they can incorporate a business and they start operating, sit down here in the hotel and work remotely. So because you're working remotely, you think you're not working. You are working. You cannot sit here and work. Of course, if you're coming for a week, 2 weeks, you're allowed to come for meetings, as I told you, visit clients, but you cannot come and work for yourself.
So what is that gray line? Because I mean, when you go visit a client, isn't that working?
That's okay. That you're visiting a client, but then you're leaving to your country and you're continue working from your country. as opposed to you come here and you stay for 5 months or 4 months and you start working, sitting down here.
Got it.
Very different. So I had a bunch of clients, one in particular recently that had a business card with him that said he was the CEO of this company. And the company happens to be a US company.
Okay.
And he was doing this for years, coming in, and he had a company here and he would sell through his company and then go back and come back. And then one day an officer at the airport asked him, what are you coming to do? So he says, no, I'm coming to buy merchandise and I'm going to sell it. And then they ask him a little more questions. And then he answers, yeah, but I've been doing this for years, so it's okay, no? The officer, I guess, was not in a good mood. He sent him to secondary inspection, which is the little room in the back where they can ask you many more questions and they can type in the computer and they can look in your background. So the officer, the client was, this person was sent to the room, secondary inspection. The CBP officer asks him, so, sir, what do you do? He says, no, I sell this equipment. I've been coming for years. I do have a company here. Here's my business card.
Oh.
The officer says, oh, so you have a company and you're CEO of, yeah. But I go to where I'm from. I don't want to say the country, whatever. He's South America. And I come all the time and I do this, but I've been doing it for years. He spoke too much, said too much, and he was sent back. He was put in a plane and sent back.
Oh, he couldn't even go in?
No, they sent him back. They put him in the plane. He couldn't even stay, and they canceled his visa. And now I cannot bring him. He wasn't my client. He became I had a consultation with him after this happened. So we're trying to get copies of the records of what exactly he said with the officer, because you could request a FOIA. It's called the Freedom of Information Act. Term, and then when you request a copy from this particular instance is from Customs and Border Protection, from CBP. And then we get a copy of exactly what was the conversation, okay? And then we can see if we can request a waiver and see if we can bring him back. But he was hysterical, he couldn't understand. So another tip number 1, please don't come to work. And if you're coming, be careful.
Okay.
The officers are
go to a meeting. Go to a meeting, go to a conference. But don't do actual work.
Yeah, like come to a meeting, you can visit clients, you can come for a seminar, but you cannot come and sit and work here. Okay. Please don't say that. Number 2, it was a follow-up question it was a follow-up advice from, I forgot, it will come back to me. So B2 is tourism. You're coming to Disney World, you're coming to Palm Springs, you're coming wherever to visit. That's very clear. But B1, that's what it is. And there is a statute. If you go online, anybody that listens and puts B1, B2 visa, what are you allowed to do? And it will come up the statute and it will tell you exactly what you're allowed to do.
Oh, okay.
Go deep into it and see what you're allowed to do and you're not allowed to do.
Perfect.
My other advice, I need to tell you that. Let's see if it comes back to me. To the clients. That was it. They're coming in, they're getting in trouble, correct? The client was back. Don't sign anything and tell them you want to do entry without inspection. You want to be sent back, no admission. You don't want to fight it, because if you fight it, they will send you to a detention center. They will keep you there for days until you are able to see a judge, or, you don't want to do that. You want to go back to your country. So if you have trouble and they're like, you're already in trouble,
like this person,
you want to be sent back. You don't want to be admitted in the country. You want to be sent back.
And can you say, I don't want to, can you even say, I don't even want to go to the little room, just send me back?
No.
You have to go to a little room?
If they tell you you're doing secondary inspection, they are the ones that you have no rights. But you don't want to stay here and go to a detention center. You rather go back. So that's it. You're sent with no admission, and they send you back. And then hopefully you're able to get a visa later on.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Another tip is, if you do not have a visa, a tourist visa, B1, B2, because you have a European passport, okay? Most of them are able to get a waiver, which is called the Esta. They apply online, they pay a fee, very little, and then they're able to come without a visa. approved. You have to get an Esta. But you can only stay 90 days in the country, as opposed to the B1, B2, which I don't know if I mentioned, it's 6 months.
Oh, no. But you
B1
can't work, I assume, with the European passport either.
No, you cannot work, and you can. It's the same as a B1, B2, but you don't need a visa. You come, but they only give you 90 days. Don't ever pass those days, because then it's a big problem. Don't overstay. If God forbid you're sick, God forbid there's an emergency, God forbid you're in an accident and you cannot take your plane, you need to call CBP and ask for more time. Okay?
Okay.
With the tourist visa, you can request an extension online or through the mail. We do those applications, and you could say, look, I want to stay here and travel more, or God forbid you're sick or something, you need to stay, you need to have the evidence, and you can request an extension. So that's important too. Don't ever overstay.
Yeah. And with the European passport, can you also help them do the extension if they don't want to call? Because I know some people don't like to call the IRS directly. So they hire me just to talk to the IRS. Can they hire you for that?
We can help you. I have done times that people unfortunately cannot leave the country because of a sickness, and we ask for deferred inspection from CBP, and they give them like a year or 6 months, or wherever it's the circumstance. I got for a little girl that got cancer, I got 2 years. I've got like more time for people that are sick. During the COVID, the pandemic, it was crazy. People couldn't fly. March 2020. So what they did is they had to incorporate a system that you could call, and 10 days before your trip, you could extend month to month.
Okay.
That was different. In general, you need to call CBP and get, for more time, depending on your emergency. But never overstay your visas, please. Don't. It's a big problem.
Yes, I can imagine. It's better to tell them, like, it's better to put things on your tax returns and then explain
and another
it.
advice, anytime you think that you want to, if someone decides to come here or wants to come temporarily, consult with an attorney, because there is ways. There is always a way to come legally instead of through the border.
Yeah.
A lot of people are coming through the border, but if you have the means, of course. I'm not talking about refugees or people in some terrible situations, which I think we should always welcome people running away from disasters.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for all this great information, Sherley. And if somebody wants to get a hold of you or talk to you, or they need your services, you and your partner services, how can they get a hold of you guys?
So, so our phone number is 305-503-5195. We have a website. It's haratzstube.com. HARATZSTUBBE.com. We have Instagram, also Haratz and Stube. You can email us to info@hsuslaw.com. You could call us. We're always available, and we're pretty good in returning phone calls and emails through the website. So we're very much reachable. We believe that when someone calls you for help, you have to act candidly and humanly, I guess it's a word. Like we care very much for our clients. It's important to us. So,
and I've been on your Instagram. It has a lot of information there too, to immigration information. So
we have.
You can learn there. So some videos I see in there.
Hopefully.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and to our listeners, thank you so much for listening to us. And if you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe and like. And also, if you found this information helpful and you have somebody that will find it useful, please share it with them. Thank you. Until next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Ask the Tax Attorney podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. And if they're in tax trouble, they will too. Once again, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.